Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. Viewers, in 2017, the August of 2017, I had traveled all the way to Chandigarh, and we'll put out those visuals there of one particular story where a young girl by the name of Varnika Kundu had complained of being harassed in the middle of the night by this man on your television screen called Vikas Barala, who then was the son of a top leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party in Haryana. I interviewed her, and we'll just play out the visuals of my interview with Varnika Kundu on 2017, the August of 2017. We'll just play those visuals out. Let's play those visuals out. And now, 8 years on, the same VVIP brat with an FIR against him, appointed as law officer by the government, son of former Haryana BJP chief Vikas Barala, and an accused in the 2017 stalking case of Varnika Kundu that I was speaking of. Vikas Barala has been appointed Assistant Advocate General at the Haryana state. Vikas Barala is amongst over 100 law officers whose appointments were cleared by the state government. Interesting to note, Barala is on bail in a harassment case and is backed by his father, who is a BJP MP and former Haryana BJP chief. The stalking case, in which Barala is still facing trial, involves charges of stalking, abduction and driving under the influence. The case had garnered headlines when CCTV footage of Barala's car. Let's play those out. I'll just ask my PCR to play those visuals out of 2017. The CCTV footage of Barala's car was caught chasing Varnika's car at midnight in Chandigarh, and his crime was revealed to the public. The case is underway, but his appointment has raised many concerns. Amidst all of this, I spoke to the victim, the survivor rather, Varnika. 8 years ago, Varnika Kundu had registered a case against Vikas Barala, and I'll just take our viewers on the sections under which Vikas Barala was charged under. Well, Section 35(4)(d) of the Indian Penal Code, which is stalking, wrongful restraint 341 and attempt to kidnap 365. These were the charges that Vikas Barala was charged under because he was stalking young Varnika Kundu in 2017 August. Varnika Kundu joins us 8 years on. The case is still on in court, and that's how broken our system is, where she continues to fight. The case, of course, now being fought by the state. But Varnika, thank you for taking the time out and joining us. And I am sad as well that you have to once again come back on the same case which you should have shut the doors to about 8 years ago with justice being served. But thank you, because the last I remember speaking with you was 8 years ago. But nothing really much has moved, has it? It's only gotten worse, because the man today who's being charged of violating the law in Haryana has been appointed as a law officer in Haryana. Nothing can really be more ironic than this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a decision that reflects the values of the people who have appointed the man. So I think they are the ones that need to be questioned about whatever process they might have gone through to make this decision.
It's been 8 years, Varnika. The case now, like you pointed out, has been fought by the court. But you've been keenly watching. You want justice served. You want justice delivered. But it's been 8 years in the making. And it hasn't come without pressure on you, on your family, on the media to constantly character assassinate you. It's been the whole gamut, hasn't it?
It definitely has. It has taken my life and turned it upside down completely. I have spent a lot of years recovering from the trauma of that night and of, what subsequently followed. Like, as much as I appreciate the support from the media and the public, the scrutiny that I was under, which is so ironic because I was the survivor. I didn't wrong anyone, but the scrutiny that I was under for so long, it takes a toll. And the case is still on. As long as the media was constantly paying attention and constantly questioning the system, the case was moving along as it should. And the second media attention went away, it's just sort of started dragging on again. And it is entirely up to the judiciary to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Why do you say that? And you're right, because somewhere down the line, all of us are responsible. Once the spotlight fades away, once the VVIP brat stalking a young girl in Chandigarh, once those headlines fade away from print, you know, I'm sure people lose interest, especially the ones who said that they would make sure that justice be delivered.
Well, I mean, nobody's making sure of it so far. 8 years on, the prosecution, I think, is still presenting evidence. From what I've heard, on the second, the defense evidence might be presented, but that's just what is being said. The reality of what might actually happen, we don't know. It might take another year to resolve or might take 5 more years. I have no idea. And actually, only the judiciary knows. They are the only ones who know.
Why do you think this lack of justice has happened, Varnika? 8 years is a long time where, you know, its evidence is clear. There is visual documentary evidence of his car following you on CCTV. You know, you have your testimony. What's the rocket science behind it all?
Honestly, I could not even fathom what could be taking so long. Like, that's a question I couldn't even, you know, try to venture into. I think the judiciary are the people to answer that question, and I do think they should be questioned. I do have faith. I maintain that I still have faith in the judiciary. Even 8 years on, as long as I don't hear a verdict, I will continue to have faith and hope that justice will prevail. But someone needs to question somebody.
Varnika, you know, if 8 years ago, when I remember interviewing you, if you were told that 8 years on, you and I would be sitting and having a very cryptic conversation on the man who wronged you, violated the law, is appointed a law officer in Haryana, would you have believed it?
Not for a second. I genuinely believed that the next time I would be in front of cameras like this would be when the case was over and the verdict had been delivered and justice had prevailed. That was genuinely what I thought my next time in front of TV cameras would be.
Well, that's
or, you know,
how I...
separately,
Yeah.
but not about this and not for this case, yeah.
Well, that's the irony of it all, and it's as sad as it comes because, well, I would have thought, you know, this would have happened the way you envisioned it, that justice would have been delivered and maybe I would have reached out and we would have had this conversation. But that's the sad part, viewers. And it's a documentary on the VVIP culture in this country, and it's a documentary on how broken our system is because the case drags on and the man in question who was charged on multiple counts of stalking, intimidating, using unlawful restraint today has been appointed by the Haryana government that is fighting a case against this man as a law officer. You posted on Instagram, Varnika, where you were a little appalled with this position that was offered to Vikas Barala. How shocked were you?
Honestly, I'm going to keep my personal feelings out of this because I don't think they have any bearing on this situation whatsoever. But I will say that once again, the public servants and the policy makers who run this country and who make decisions to appoint people to public positions of responsibility and power. I said that slow so it sinks in. These people who appoint people to such positions of power are the ones who need to be questioned. They need to be asked what their ethics and their values are and, you know, what sort of a decision-making process has been used to come to this decision.
How did you find out?
Actually, it was a journalist that told me.
Varnika, you know, there is this whole set today who says that, listen, this is a man who everyone's allowed reformation, you know, everyone's allowed, you know, to build a new life. How do you see that in context? Because it's not that he served the time or he has actually paid the price, because the case is still on. So how do you view that whole train of thought that this was a young man who made maybe a mistake, what many think, and now is reformed and wants to start a new life?
I feel like reform would only start once the verdict was delivered and the appropriate punishment or sentence was handed out. Unless the verdict has been delivered, how can anyone even begin to reform? Unless the court has decided what the reform might be.
Varnika, can you take us through what these 8 years have been for you and your family? And I remember your father speaking with him. You know, your family stood by you like a rock. You faced a lot. There has been a whole machinery that has looked at character assassinating you. And I'll give you an example. I was following this case. I had come in from Delhi to Chandigarh. I had calls from the government sources. I had journalists who were local journalists in Chandigarh who would call me and try to plant information which clearly was an attempt to character assassinate. And that was just what my brief window for that 1 week of tracking the case was. You've lived 8 years of it.
Well, honestly, I wouldn't say 8 years. There has been no character assassination to my face in the last few years that I know of. Whatever's happening behind my back, like what you've just told me about people trying to plant stories, I had no idea about. Also, I get that because, like, why would I know? And anyone who's going to do it now is very aware of the power of social media and the power of media in general. I mean, you guys are what got this case to this level. If it wasn't for you guys, I don't know where this case might have been, or if it might even have been a case. And that being said, the last 8 years have not been easy per se, primarily because of the public scrutiny that I faced for so long, at least till COVID. I mean, COVID sort of took over everything else, and, you know, the whole world came to a stop for like a couple of years. But before that, it was constant public scrutiny. And for someone like me who doesn't like to constantly be worried about what people will think and what people will say, and, you know, what should I say, what should I wear, what should I do? Someone like me who liked to live life on her own terms, this was very difficult for me. Because on the one hand, I want to live my life as I see fit. But on the other hand, I'm constantly worried about stepping out of the house. Is someone following me? Is someone taking pictures? Is someone trying to, I don't know, make a video? Are they looking at me even? Like, a lot of people would stare, and, you know, a lot of them would also come up and talk to me, and I had some extremely wholesome and meaningful interactions. So, yeah, I mean, there was public scrutiny, but I think I should also mention that the public support was overwhelming. I still don't think I can talk about it without tearing up at how much everyone stood by me and supported me.
No, and I think, there is a whole community out there, and there is a whole lot of people who are still doing so. And therefore, that's why so appalled at these developments. But Varnika, was there a point, during these many years that Vikas Barala, his family reached out, wanting to broker peace, wanting to settle the matter?
I won't go into details. A couple of times there have been indirect attempts through other people, but nothing that we have taken seriously or responded to.
Your parents still firmly behind your decision to pursue this case?
Of course, of course.
What do you expect, Varnika? Because like I said, it's a little laughable. Yeah. Go ahead, make your point.
It is, yeah. No, I was going to say it is devastating, really, that someone who was attacked and who was harassed and stopped has to go through all of this, has to do a million interviews, has to keep putting statements out. I have to make sure I say the right things. I have to make sure I cover my bases, one, to protect myself, and two, to make sure that this case actually gets the justice that any regular case should get. I should not have had to do all of this.